Hi, I'm Manish Tana, writer, speaker, rabbi, and alleged Soros-funded black nationalist. By the way, Daniel Greenfield, you failed to properly abide by the cease and desist order I sent you about a month ago, so we'll be coming for you. Clench up. And I'm here to film a reaction video to yesterday's meeting between the AJC and Nick Cannon. As you may have heard, Nick Cannon exchanged some anti-Semitic tropes with former Public Enemy member Professor Griff on his podcast, Cannon's Class. In the weeks since then, Nick has visited Holocaust museums, bought books by Barry Weiss and the like, met with several rabbis, and even pledged a donation to the Wiesenthal Museum of Tolerance. His most recent stop was a conversation with Rabbi Noam Moran of AJC, Global Jewish Advocacy Organization. And let's hop in.
Welcome, Nick, to AJC Advocacy Anywhere. It's a delight to have you here.
Rabbi Noam, my man, good to see you.
We thought that it would be a good idea.
Sorry, I just find it funny how whenever someone black says something anti-Semitic, mainstream Jewish media and news outlets fall over themselves to find black Jews and Jews of color to comment. But when it comes to the actual conversation and learning, they magically forget that we exist. Like, hey, I just wrote this 700-word think piece about how anti-Semitism affects me as a black Jewish person. Don't you think I should be in the room? No, we're good. We can let some real Jews handle this one. But I literally have the same cultural background and awareness of nuance. Maybe I should be a part of this. I mean, maybe putting black celebrities on an apology tour with white Jews and exposing them to Ashkenazi European narratives of Jewish oppression kind of reinforces that whole Jews are white people that are beyond criticism or reproach and kind of foments resentment more and more. Like, you're the premier global Jewish advocacy organization with unparalleled access to diplomats and government officials and faith leaders around the world. Maybe let black Jewish people take the lead on this? Oh, look, that was a great piece that you wrote. I mean, at least 3/5 of it that I read. But we got this. Just saying. Just find it funny. Anywho, back to this video.
You could imagine that there are a lot of people out there with a lot of different opinions about whether you and I should be meeting in this way.
Oh yeah, I saw the comments. Indeed.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
We can handle that. Before we move on to black Jewish relations.
Yes, actually, before we move on to black Jewish relations, let's talk about what that term means and why it's hugely inadequate in these kind of scenarios. See, when you say black Jewish relations or black Jewish community and those hyphens like that, there are really two invisible parentheticals that we're working with. You're talking about non-Jewish black, white Jewish relationships. But that leaves out of the conversation black Jewish, white Jewish relations. And it also doesn't talk about non-Jewish black, Jewish black relations. And the problem with that is, if we don't have all those people at the table and everybody partaking in this conversation, then there's no way that a fuller picture can be built and actual understanding happening across all those communities. Still hot.
Before we move on to black Jewish relations, I want you to address the cynics who look at this as a transactional moment.
Oh, I would absolutely be a cynic and say this is transactional. See my earlier black Jewish relations breakdown. This is doing the absolute superficial least while making noise like it's doing the most. It's like the conversational equivalent of Kylie Jenner.
So a lot happened in the last month.
To say the least.
And I want to hear you tell it in your own words. Certainly there was blatant anti-Semitism in the video, in the podcast that we were able to view or catch snippets of,
Right.
with classic stereotypes and even conspiracy theories about the Jewish people, a little bit of identity politics.
Right.
Who can call themselves what?
Right.
kinds of things. And then there was some introspection, education, perhaps a series of apologies.
Indeed.
And these kinds of conversations. So why don't you tell us, in your words, where you were and what happened and where we're going?
Wow. I have never seen a more facetiously framed line of questioning. Like, do you want him to tell it in his own words, or do you want to tell him in the words that you left him after you've boxed him into a corner? Like, that's like if I said to somebody, so, you want to tell me about, last night in your own words? I mean, obviously you killed a man, you slit him from navel to throat, and hollowed out his insides, and climbed inside, and slept him over the night, and then you ate his entrails, and painted yourself with all the blood. But I just want to hear about it, from your end. Like, how is that a fair way of framing a conversation? It's already inherently an indictment. Once he starts speaking, he's already on the defense. Also, maybe some apologies. Did you miss all the articles about him buying books and Instagram posts and giving money away? Sounds like pretty legit, I think, right? Not alleged, or perhaps. Also, I don't remember anyone dragging Chelsea Handler or Madonna nearly this hard when they were posting videos of Farrakhan. So, wonder what the difference is there. Still.
We might come back to this, to the broad topic of understanding the Jewish people better and avoiding anti-Semitic tropes, but I want to segue now to Black-Jewish relations, a challenging area. We have an African-American leader, a Jewish leader, talking to one another here. Know the history.
Yes.
It was a wonderful history. It continues to be a history of alliances, more than it's given credit for. Just recently, the Black Jewish Congressional Caucus reconvened itself under AJC's assistance. And there are...
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't keep listening to this. It's... insipid would be too kind. You know what? Let's just fast forward to near the end when audience questions start happening. Let's get into that and see what's happening there.
Many of our viewers, in a very Jewish manner, are asking. Obviously, this is a two-way street, and Bobby Baruch and Sharon Sokol and others, but are eager to know what more the Jewish community can do to be better allies, to learn about our own thoughts that we might have and prejudices unknown toward the Black community.
I don't know, man. The same thing we told you in 2014 about around Mike Brown and Eric Garner, or the same things we were saying in 2016 around Black Lives Matter and Copernic, or the same things we were saying in 2018 about increased police security in synagogues and how safe or unsafe it made Jews of color feel after the Tree of Life shooting. Or, I'm beginning to think that you just aren't listening to us at all.
We're actually getting a lot of questions, Nick, regarding your opinion on the role that Black Jews can play in this part of the healing process between our communities as they straddle both identities. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, we need you guys more than ever.
Yeah, we know. Also, wow, that's kind of shady, right? Like, neither Nick Cannon or AJC has shown any, maybe public, maybe private conversations with Jews of color, but they leave him out there to try to answer the question. That's like if you and your brother were both eating cookies that your mom told you not to, and she catches you, and she's like, why didn't you listen to me? And your brother's like, yeah, son, why didn't you listen to her? It's like, we were both eating the cookies. I'm just the one that still has one in my mouth.
This is a very productive conversation, Nick, because if I were to have a goal for this session together, it would be that people in your community, people in my community, people who feel comfortable in both communities.
What? Comfortable in. No. We're not comfortable in both communities. We are a part of both communities. I don't understand what was so hard about saying those words. Like, you just used them in the sentence structure you had before. It's the same amount of letters. It's the same amount of syllables. And come on, you had like the rule of 3 right there. Like, I don't see how you ignore and not utilize something right there on your. Oh, yeah, that tracks.
Imagine if, you know, the men and women in the Nation of Islam and the men and women in, you know, any Jewish community came together and sat down and had a conversation. How much healing would occur?
Yeah. Imagine that.